Hello everybody and welcome back to the Jambar Sports Extra. I'm Tazai Howard. The Youngstown State University women's tennis team traveled to Cleveland State on October 17th to participate in the Viking Invitational. The Penguins finished the event with 11 wins in singles and 6 wins in doubles. Leading the way for the Penguins was senior Lily Minnick as she won all 3 singles matches she played in. Senior Gada Deeringer and sophomore Yesnia Ovcharova both won 2 of their singles matches. In doubles, junior Lene Grayland was able to win 3 matches as a part of 3 different pairs. The Penguins will conclude their season November 8th at the Cleveland State University Northridge Fall Invitational. The number 4 ranked University of South Dakota Coyote football team nearly traveled 1,000 miles to match up with Youngstown State. Here's more on the story. Youngstown State jumped out to an early lead as they led 14-0 early in the second quarter. However, by halftime, the Penguins' lead would only be cut to 3. It all went right for the Penguins in the first quarter, taking an opening drive 82 yards in 11 plays. Early in the third quarter, South Dakota dug themselves out of the hole completely when redshirt junior kicker Will Leland made a 23-yard field goal to tie the game. The Coyotes silenced the crowd inside Stanball Stadium when redshirt sophomore running back Charles Pierre Jr. took off to the end zone for a 50-yard rushing touchdown. Head coach Doug Phillips and the team fall to 2-6 with the loss. Phillips said he saw a change in defensive pace compared to previous weeks.
We asked our kids to play fast, to play physical. I thought we saw a different defense today than we have, previous game, and, proud of that, but there's no moral victories. We prepare and work too hard. We want to win that football game, and we fell short.
Junior defensive end and captain Michael Voitis was one of 3 Penguins to lead the team in tackles in the matchup. Voitis said against a ranked opponent, there is no time to let up.
Yeah, you just can't get complacent, and it's our human nature to get complacent. You start succeeding and you start having fun. Maybe you start joking around on the sidelines a little bit too much, but you just can't get complacent. Like I said earlier, in our conference and against a program like that, you can't get complacent. You have to be able to put your foot on your throat when you got them down, and we didn't do that tonight.
YSU will look to rewrite their road game script as they are winless in away games. The Penguins will spend back-to-back weekends in Illinois for matchups with Illinois State and Southern Illinois. View the game and stay updated on the Penguin football team, visit YSUsports.com. And as always, for the Jambar, I'm Tazai Howard. The Youngstown State University women's golf team concluded its fall season at the Lady Blue Hen Invitational on October 19th and 20th. The Penguins placed 10th with a 3-round team total of 913. Senior Lizzie Sauer was the Penguins' highest finisher. The senior tied for 12th with a 3-round score of 221. Sophomore Niranuj Prajupanich finished next for the Penguins. She tied for 21st with a 3-round team total of 226. The University of Delaware won the tournament with a 3-round team total of 881. Quinnipiac University placed second. Delaware senior Elisa Koklova defended her individual title. She finished first with a 3-round total of 211. This was the conclusion of the Penguins' fall competition. The team will begin the spring campaign at the Columbia Classic on February 8th and 9th. The YSU men's and women's cross-country teams are getting prepped for the Horizon League Championships on November 2nd, hosted by the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. The teams competed in a total of 5 invitationals, including the first ever YSU-hosted cross-country meet. On the men's side, senior Hunter Christopher had multiple top 20 individual finishes, including a 3rd-place finish September 20th at the Roy Grayek Invitational, hosted by the University of Minnesota. For the women, sophomore McKinley Fielding had a great individual season, with 2 top 10 finishes and finished many races as the fastest Penguin on course. Owen Brady, sophomore on the cross-country team, said this team's training season switched a small bit this season, with practices geared more towards the races at the end of the season.
We've definitely just changed our training a little bit in the summer to kind of peak for the later races, so starting out was a little slower, but it still was good at the time for where we were, but we're definitely getting to full power now.
The championship races on November 2nd are set to begin with the women's 6K starting at noon, followed by the men's 8K at 1 p.m. After a tough outing against Wright State University at the Zidane Family Arena, the Youngstown State University women's volleyball team stayed inside the Beagley Center. From October 18th through 19th, the Penguins played 9 total sets against the Indiana University of Indianapolis. The first match featured a 3-1 victory over the Jaguars to break a 7-game skid for the Penguins, while the second match on Saturday went to extra sets with IU Indy splitting the season series with a 3-2 win. Junior outside hitter Abby Householder led the way for Youngstown State with a combined 39 kills over 2 matches. YSU was back in action on the road against the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The first match is scheduled for 7 p.m. October 25th, and the second match is slated for 3 p.m. on October 26th. YSU has a new head baseball coach. Jambar reporter Tim Corso introduces us to Trevor Sharpie.
The Youngstown State baseball team will look a little different this year as they prepare for the 2025 season. Trevor Sharpie acted as the team's pitching coach in 2024. His promotion follows a year where the Penguins went 16-44. Director of Intercollegiate Athletics Ron Strollo spoke on the factors that went into the hiring process.
As we talk to people and as we continue to talk to our student athletes and the baseball community, alums, it became clear that Trevor was the right answer for the program.
His play style will be a new one for Penguin fans to watch.
A very fast-paced, hard-nosed, gritty style of ball. Right, I want us to be the hardest working team and really get after it.
Part of that play style starts with replenishing the loss of 6 bats from 2024.
Also, we wanted some pop, right? We want to hit some home runs. We want to hit the ball over the fence and slug a little bit more.
While the lineup Sharpie wants to pencil in every day is expected to hit for power, it's his pitching staff he'll look to combat a traditionally hitter-friendly Horizon League. Sharpie's Penguins have completed their pair of fall scrimmages and will look to finish off the offseason strong before opening the 2025 season in February.
We'll give everyone a chance to take a break, and we will too, but don't worry, we'll be back.
All right, so who knows why?
I know why. For starters, I'm getting a top-tier education without the price tag. Can you say that? Engineering, sports, music, business. I can do anything here. I'm getting my hands dirty, learning what my friends are only reading about. I'm part of something bigger here. I'm proud to bleed red and black. So yeah, I know why. It's not a question. It's the answer. Youngstown State University. Know why.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we rise, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever.
There are 2 former Penguins currently on National Football League 53-man rosters, but these athletes weren't the only ones to make it to the big leagues. Jambar contributor Dylan Lux takes a look at some of the former Gwins who've gone pro.
Since the YSU football program began in 1938, 31 Youngstown State Penguins have made the jump to the NFL. The first ever football player from YSU to make the big leagues was standout center Sloko Gill from the class of 1941. Gill played for the Detroit Lions in 1942. Since 2000, the Gwins have had 13 athletes play in the National Football League, including former linebacker Tim Johnson, YSU class of 2000. Johnson said playing at Youngstown State gave him the spirit of the Valley.
Blue-collar town, blue-collar people, hard-working people, steel town, and people know how to make things happen. So, being around that and learning what I had to learn with my teammates and colleagues and school, it just became something that, we all grew to love.
Derek Rivers, defensive end from the 2016 class of Youngstown State, was drafted by the New England Patriots in the 3rd round of the 2017 NFL Draft. Rivers said it was a great experience being drafted to New England, as much of his family are fans of the Patriots.
My mom loves Tom Brady, so that was like a huge thing.
Rivers said there was much to learn about football from former NFL coach Bill Belichick even after being involved in the sport for many years.
You think like, all right, there's only so much football that you could like learn or whatnot. And so then you get into that building and you hear him talk and kind of teaching, you're like, man, this is on another level.
Other athletes from Youngstown State transitioned into other roles into the NFL besides just playing. Donald DeLessio, the safeties coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, played at Youngstown State as a part of the 2014 class as a safety. He became a defensive line coach for YSU the year after his graduation. Under his tenure, Rivers and defensive end Avery Moss were both drafted to the NFL after just 1 year. DeLessio said it was exciting having two of his players get drafted to the big leagues in just the first year of his coaching career.
A little funny because there were some of those guys, Derek, who, got drafted, who I played with. I was the guy that right when I got done playing, I started coaching.
DeLessio, Johnson, and Rivers told current athletes looking to go to the NFL that they should focus on playing in college, develop their skills, and learn the game. For Jambar TV, I'm Dylan Lux. Back to you guys in the studio.
John Ostapowitz had the opportunity to sit down with YSU's very own Paul Ditchie. Let's see what they had to talk about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the interview portion of the Jambar Sports Extra. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Jambar, John Ostapowitz, and today we're joined with Paul Ditchie. Now, Paul, you do a lot, especially here at Youngstown State University. Can you talk about your positions here at YSU?
Well, this is my 7th year teaching here full-time. I am a senior lecturer, and on top of that, I am the electronic media advisor, which means I advise Jambar TV.
Right, and you do a lot, especially during the day, but how about nighttime? You have a stacked resume, especially you've done games for the Browns, and most recently, you've done not only the Division Series, but the Championship Series of the Major League Baseball playoffs.
Yeah, I did the Guardians-Tigers home games, and then I did the Guardians-Yankees home games. Both of those were on TBS, Turner Broadcasting. I'm a slow-motion replay operator. I was one of 15 people doing replays for those games. And my career before I started working here, and I still do it on the side, was working in televised sports.
Right now, for everyone watching, how did you get into that position? How did you find yourself with all of these different jobs, especially just starting out? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, oddly enough, I got out, probably don't know what this is, a phone book, and I started calling different video places, and none of them were really hiring. And then I called a guy at the University of Akron, and he said, have you ever tried Midwest Teleproductions at the Richfield Coliseum? And I said, I never heard of them, because they're always looking for people, call them. So I called them up, and the guy said, yeah, we are looking for people. And to make a long story short, about a year later, I got hired, and we were doing Detroit Pistons games, Detroit Red Wings games, University of Michigan basketball games, Cleveland Cavaliers games, Cleveland Force games, which is an indoor soccer team, and then in the summer we did Cleveland Indians games. So that was like my crash course in television.
Right, and that feels like it didn't just happen overnight. Who were you able to connect with to be able to keep getting position after position, game after game? Who was your mentor out in the field?
I didn't really have a mentor out in the field because when I started, everybody was like my age. But you start off mainly doing local stuff. My wife and I lived in Houston for 3 years, and I worked at a TV station there. I still did a few things with sports. When we moved back to Ohio, I went back to working for the same guys I was working for before. Then I started branching out into doing network TV. I started doing Browns games for NBC, the old Browns at the old stadium, doing replays for them. And then after a while, that's how freelancing is. People hear your name and they start hiring you. If you do a good job, they get more comfortable with that, and it kind of snowballs. It takes a while, but it works.
Right, and you've also done Olympic Games as well, 2 of them to be exact. Can you elaborate on your experience there, especially with all of those athletes at one time?
Yeah, I did the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, Summer Olympics, and I did the Winter Olympics in 2002 in Salt Lake City. In Atlanta, I did gymnastics. In Salt Lake City, I did the giant slalom. the snowboard slalom, and the half pipe plus aerials. And yeah, it's a unique experience. Security is very tight, but you're there with a lot of people, not just athletes, but a lot of people from all over the world. It's really a unique experience.
Paul, now jumping back to the Division Series recently, as well as the Championship Series, when you look at that, were you rooting for a specific team? I'm sure a lot of people want to know, are you allowed to root? Were you rooting for, maybe the Tigers against the Guardians, or were you even rooting for the Yankees against the Guardians in that series?
Generally, I root for the last out. Even though you may be a fan of that particular team, you are being hired to be a neutral to cover the game. And for example, at the end of the last game when the Guardians lost, I had a shot of the pitching coach, Carl Willis, hugging Tanner Bybee. And even though it's kind of a sad ending for the Guardians fans, it fit with the whole thing of Yankees are happy, Guardians are sad, their season's over. So I always have to keep in mind I'm working for, especially during a playoff situation, a neutral concern, and I'm there to do a job, not be a fan.
Well, with time dwindling away here on the Jambar Sports Extra, thanks again, Paul. Again, a lot of great opportunities that you have. But, of course, we'll be back same time next week when we return, only on Jambar Sports Extra.
Thanks, John. And with that, that's all we have time for this week's Jambar Sports Extra. But don't worry, catch us next week on the News Magazine.